Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Moms Who Made It YouTube channel. I am your host, Nicole Green, and also founder of Motivating Young Moms. Like I always do, welcome you guys to the channel. If you have not subscribed, please do so either now or after you've watched our interview for today with our special guest, Kierstin. She is a mom who has definitely made it. I'm going to read her brief bio and then we're going to jump into this conversation, okay? So Kierstin became a mother just 2 months shy of her 20th birthday. She was a single parent whose support system consisted of revolving employment and daycares, grandparents, and a babysitter who became family. She struggled with the balance of motherhood, adulthood, and attempting to pursue her goals. Fast forward 20 years later, she looks like she's 20 years later having a child. After believing she was one and done, that's kind of interesting. I had a conversation with my daughter and she thought she's gonna be a one and done, but that's a later conversation. Her life took an unexpected turn when her and her now fiancé decided to try for a child together. Kierstin, after finding out she was pregnant at 39 years old, that having a baby at this point in her life was going to mean making drastic changes. The one she wouldn't do this time around was give up on her dreams. Today, Kierstin has a 22-year-old daughter, Ashleigh, and a 2-year-old son named Bryce. She is a home mompreneur who is using her love and outlet of writing to share her journey, change the narrative of staying at home as a parent, and to help bring the village mentality back to not only raising children, but strengthening families. So again, I want to welcome you guys and welcome our special guest, Kierstin, during COVID-19. I know you guys are probably used to seeing us in different venues and things like that. We are in a different space today and we are embracing it. So let's jump right into this. So Kierstin, share with us about the day you found out that you were pregnant with your little one.
With Bryce. With my first one.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I was 19. Mm-hmm. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you guys. I love what you're doing with this organization. I love it. It is very near and dear to my heart because I was that mom. When I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, I didn't even see it coming. I went in for my routine exam.
Oh, wow.
And they asked me, oh, well, Kirsten, when was your last menstrual cycle? And I was like, it was October when this happened. I was like, about around my birthday. I'm not even thinking about it. I already had, irregular periods, things of that nature, different issues and stuff. And the nurse kind of looked at me and was just like, okay, Kirsten, I need you to go give me a urine sample. And I'm looking at her like, for what?
Oh, Lord.
So I go give the urine, right. So I go give the urine sample, go back in the room, and I'm still like, and the doctor literally comes in the room and he's just giving me instructions. Don't do this, don't take that. If you have a headache, only take Tylenol, this, that, and the other. And I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? Now, luckily for me, I had a very close relationship with my doctor. My doctor was the same doctor that delivered me, was my family, all the women's in my family. So it was like, he was cool. He's just walking in the room and talking. And I'm like, looking at him dumbfounded. What are you talking about? He's like, oh, the nurse didn't come back in the room and tell you that you were pregnant? And that's how I found out I was pregnant. I had to go to work after that. I was stunned. I was in shock. And to this day, I can't even remember driving to work after that. I just showed up.
It was probably just a blur.
Yes, it was very much just a blur.
So how did you break it to your family?
Well, I told her father immediately. I did do that. I told her father immediately. And I let him know. This is not something that I want to sit around and wait on. Our families need to know if I'm pregnant, then I need medical attention,
right?
Things of that nature. I don't want to sit on this. So I told them 3 days later, 3 days after I found out, I told them, and we just sat them down and we just told them there was no need to beat around the bush. There is nothing you can beat around the bush with when you're pregnant. It just is what it is.
Right. Exactly.
So of course they weren't angry. I will give them that. They were not angry. They were concerned. They were worried, of course, because it's a big undertaking for someone who had just graduated from high school 2 years prior. They had seen it before. My sister had her first very young while she was in high school. Mm-hmm. And they were just more concerned with, how I would handle it all, how I would handle it financially and emotionally and everything.
Right. Yeah. 20 years later, you and your fiancé decided, let's have one more. How did that conversation even come about?
It came about because he brought it up. He asked me, why hadn't I in all these years? Just a very, very brief history on me and my fiance. Me and my fiance have known each other for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
He's been a friend of the family for that long. So he has seen, even my struggles as a single parent. He has seen them along the way. This is not our first rodeo together either. This is the second time we've been together as well. So he asked me, how and why, after all these years, did you never have another child? And I flat out told him I was not in the relationship that I wanted to be in. I knew if I was to have another child, it had to be a certain way. I didn't want to go through the same things that I went through with my daughter. One of those things being, if I have another child, I'm staying at home. So, we talked about it and I thought about it, and he was like really pushing me because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've been free for a very long time now. Like, I don't know if I want to give up my freedom like that. But the want to have another child came back after I had fought it off for so long. And knowing that we had a solid foundation and that, he's 10 years older than I am. So I'm like, okay, so we're both just crazy. So we were just like, all right, we'll give it a try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're not going to do anything crazy.
Right.
Because I have endometriosis and fibroids.
Okay.
So that was another reason why I was afraid to try to get pregnant, because I didn't know if I could have a viable pregnancy. So that's where if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're not doing fertility. We're not going to force it on your body. If your body wants this to happen, it will happen. So I was on the pill. They were using the pill to try to shrink my fibroids, which wasn't working. And I knew it wasn't something that I was going to be on long term. So when I was finished with that, I let him know. I literally took a picture of the last pill in my hand and was just like, this is the last one. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. 1 month later, I found out I was pregnant.
Well, that was fast.
Very fast. I told the doctor you set me up. It was like, you set me up with it. Huh?
And 2 years later, now you have...
I have Bryce.
Son. So you mentioned about basically the second time around, how you want or would have wanted to be a stay-at-home mom the second time around. Instead of, I'm sure with your first child that you were a single mom, so things were different. You're probably doing a lot of things on your own, as a lot of single moms do, and handling a lot of things on your own and tackling a lot of things, whereas you weren't able to be that stay-at-home mom then. So have you made that adjustment to entering the stay-at-home mom journey and And if you have, how has that transition been to becoming a stay-at-home mom?
It is, it's very different. I can say the reason that I wanted to stay at home with Bryce is because when Ashleigh got older, my oldest child, when Ashleigh got older, she told me that she resented my job. I used to work for the Department of Corrections, and I worked second shift. I worked a lot of overtime. I worked holidays. I barely saw her. And that always stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I felt horrible. When she was able to verbalize that to me, she flat out said, I hated your job. I resented your job because it took you from me. And she, she said, I understand, you had to do what you had to do, but we missed a lot of time together. And going into that, knowing that with Bryce, I couldn't do it to another child. I really couldn't do it to another child. I also remember with Ashleigh, we're talking about 20 years ago, how heavy the expense of just going to work was. You have to pay to go to work, because you have to put the child in daycare, you have to have babysitters and things of that nature. Well, now fast forward 20 years, we're talking about almost double the amount that it was costing. So I had to take that into consideration as well, and weigh my pros and my cons and the sacrifice. And it just became worth it to me to make that sacrifice, because overall I was saving us money at the end of the day. My son was home with me, so I know he's safe. He got sick a lot while he was in the daycare. I did try this. We did try. And he got sick a lot, a little bit more than the normal, your kid goes to daycare. Wow. We're talking way more than colds and stuff like that. So I came and I'm looking at the bills and stuff, and I'm literally going into debt in order to go to work. Like, I can't pay this bill because I have to pay this much to the daycare. Now I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. And it just wasn't worth it. And I said, you know what? I got to do it. I knew it going in though. I knew it, and I had said it before he was even conceived. I knew it wasn't going to work, and I still tried it anyway, because that's what we're quote unquote supposed to do nowadays. Yeah. We're supposed to be able to go to work and handle the baby and all of that kind of stuff. But no, it doesn't work for everyone anymore. I would say if people were really honest with themselves, it probably doesn't work for the majority. If they really see that crunch numbers and crunch time, it really probably doesn't work for the majority.
Yeah, and a lot of us, I feel like we've been conditioned to be that super mom, super woman, and try to work, try to be a mom, try to take care of the home, and it is a lot. Like, I can 100% relate to you and Ashleigh, because my daughter, she's 23. She said the same thing to me. I had two after her, and so I won't say I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I'm home now. Whereas I'm not in corporate America anymore, so I can definitely relate. And so she's voiced to me herself, like, about how I've done things differently with her siblings than I did with her, and how I have more time with them than I did with her. And I felt horrible. The fact that, she realized that and she voiced that to me. I'm happy that I was able and felt comfortable enough to, come to me and tell me how she felt.
Yes.
But it makes us feel guilty as moms, because it's like, at that time when you feel like you're doing what you need to do and what you have to do to provide. And motherhood does not come with a pamphlet that tells you that. It's not instructions. So we do the best that we can. So has it been since you're staying home? Because I'm going to tell you, there was, I think my son, he was like 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And I had made a Facebook post. I still get the Facebook memory about this, that I should be a stay-at-home mom. I can do this, like kind of like downplaying it, like, oh, it won't be a big deal, because I think he was like sick, and I was like, oh, I could be a stay-at-home mom. This isn't that bad. And so lo and behold, like literally 3 months later, like my job wanted me to relocate to Texas, and so I couldn't. And so then I became a stay-at-home mom at that time. And oh my gosh, anybody that want to say that a stay-at-home mom is easy or you're not doing nothing, they need to just walk in those shoes.
It's a culture shock. You're used to, going to work every day. You're used to having a set routine. You get up, you get dressed, you go to work, you go into the office, you make your coffee, you sit down at your desk, you have your day, you're interacting with other people, you're interacting with other adults. You finish up your 8 hours, you put everything away, you get in your car, you go back home. Well, when you're home with a baby, your day might not be that cookie cutter. It's very hard in the beginning to create a balance, and you miss people. Yeah. You miss the interaction with people at first. It's a struggle, and it definitely was for me. Like I said, it was more like a culture shock, and it's not what society has deemed this to be. It really isn't, especially nowadays. This isn't the 1950s and 1960s, and we aren't Stepford wives. Like, it doesn't work like that at all. There is a misconception that you're just sitting at home watching your baby play, and you make dinner and you walk around and you're cute all day and all that. No. It's nothing of the sort. It is grueling. It is work. I do everything. Yeah. I do everything. I'm the CEO of the household.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. Is you're working your home. It's a job.
It's a job.
It's a 24-hour, 24/7 job. It's not just 8 hours and you can leave and you're done.
Nope, not at all.
So, as I'm reading your bio, you mentioned how that you're sharing your journey and your experiences through writing and things like that. So I understand you do have a blog. So do you want to share with us, some of the things that you do, outside of being mom, in the CEO of your home and things like that? So what have you done as far as like sharing through your writing?
Okay. So shortly after I started staying home, I knew that I was going to need an outlet of some sort. Writing for me has always been that outlet, whether it was just a brain dump here and there, or journaling, or, I was the type of person that would just find a subject and just write an essay just because.
Oh my gosh.
That's the nerd part of me. But I would just write just because it feels good to me. So I said, okay, well, let me just start writing what's going on with me, almost like a journal. And I was talking to my daughter again, who knew that I had the love for writing and everything. And I was like, well, what if I started a blog? What if I, started, publishing it out for other people to see? And she was like, Mom, that's a great idea. Why not? So that's what I started. And it's called Holy Shit, I'm a Housewife, because when it was happening, when the transition was being made, that's what I said as a joke. It was a joke between me and my daughter, and that's exactly what I said. Like, holy shit, I'm really about to be a housewife. Holy shit, I'm a housewife. So that is what the name of the blog is called. And the blog is just basically me chronicling, how I got to this point, things that I've dealt with along the way, my process into entrepreneurship and things that I've seen along the way, because now like, I had no idea that I'd be sitting here doing interviews with you or with anyone
Right.
else. I did another one, and I had no idea that it was going to start to manifest into this brand.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just been sharing that along the way, sharing, coming up to people being supportive or non-supportive, not understanding what I'm doing. So in addition to that, when I started that blog, I said, okay, well, let's see what else is going on, in the writing world nowadays, or whatever. So I started seeking out other positions. In doing that, I became a contributor to 2 other blogs. I'm a contributor for Melanated Mommy. I'm a contributor to Melanated Mommy, and I also contribute to a new lifestyle and business blog called The Right Life.
Okay.
So I contribute probably more to them than anything. So you can find my work there as well. So I started doing that. I've also, over the years, with all the trials and tribulations, I've come definitely into the belief that you should have 3 streams of income. So I said, okay, well, I'm doing that. Don't really know where it's going right now. It's only making me about, pocket money, which is great. I'm not complaining at all. Going from, nothing to getting something.
Right. Absolutely.
It's fine. So I said, well, let me poke my nose around and see what else is out there. So I've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to travel with my children. I have my bucket listed destinations and everything. Lo and behold, on Indeed, I run into a work from home position with a local travel agency who picked up on my resume right away because of, previously I was in the insurance industry, and they were like, people that come from the insurance industry tend to do very well, because, being that, in the insurance industry, we tend to be very regimented and strategic about what we do. And they were like, people that, come from that industry do very well. So I said, okay, sat with them, had some meetings and everything. Right before COVID, I became a contracted independent travel agent, and I work from home. So I've been, during COVID, just trying to build everything up so that when, they take the world off of punishment, I can hit the ground running. I've also been doing that. And I have also decided to get my next set of insurance licenses and move on with my insurance career as well. So that would be my 3 streams of income. So again, being a stay-at-home parent doesn't necessarily look like what people think it looks like. I still very much work.
Yeah, it sounds like that was a lot. And as much as people might want to underestimate writing is a lot. I tried to dab in the blog arena. Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
I felt like I was back in school. I was like,
It is one of those things. It's something that you have to love, like being a musician. You can't force your kids to play an instrument. If they don't want to play it, they're going to slack off. Yeah, it's no different. It is definitely something that you have to love. Some people, especially entrepreneurs, one of their biggest hangups is content, because they know they have to sit down, they have to come up with this content. Okay, am I going to write a blog? Am I going to do videos? But I choose to do content writing. I choose to blog because it's something that I love, and it's something that, comes naturally to me. But it is, like you said, it is very much work. It is very much work.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. So it's been a little over 20 years since you had Ashleigh. So I know that when you found out you were getting ready to have a baby and everything, that you probably had a ton of thoughts and emotions, during that time. What is something that you would tell your younger self at that time to kind of like give yourself comfort? Or even just how to even cope at that time? Like, what would you have told the younger Kierstin?
That you can do it. I doubted myself a lot. I worried myself a lot. I downplayed myself a lot. and I tried to just continue to fit into the norm and just do what everybody told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely go back and tell myself not to let go of your goals and not to let go of the dreams that you have for yourself. Now, do you have to revamp the plan? Yes, you have to revamp the plan. You know, be realistic with yourself. You have to revamp the plan. But if I knew myself then the way I know myself now, I would simply tell myself, you can do this. You're strong enough to do this.
I love that. And so funny because sometimes when we're in it, we don't even realize that we're strong and that we are capable until the fact. So, yeah, I like that. So share with us, you mentioned the 2 blogs. So can you mention the 2 blogs again, and then any other platform where we can find you and read about things that you're writing and things like that?
Okay, my main blog is, like I said, Holy Shit, I'm a Housewife. That is on WordPress. I am putting together an actual website so I can bring all of these things together. Hopefully I can get that in the end of June. The other blogs that I write for is The Right Life. That's WRIGHT.
Okay.
The Right Life, and Melanated Mommy. I do write occasionally for them as well. I am on Facebook, my personal page under my name. I do have a private group on Facebook that goes along with the blog called Holy Shit, I'm a Housewife as well. And other than that, I'm on Instagram at justme_8. And I also have another Instagram that I've been doing kind of just for fun, not as serious. I have a hobby and a love for cigars. So
okay, nice.
For cigars. So I do have another Instagram page, and that is at smoke_N_whiskey8 on Instagram. And that
just have to check that out.
Just shows me smoking basically.
Thank you for sharing with us, you know, where people can find you and even read about some blogs that you're writing. Last comment, if you could just share one piece of advice for our young moms who are in the fight right now, trying to figure things out. Can you just share a bit of advice or encouraging words for them?
Open your mouth and ask for help. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Do not be hard-headed like I was back then. Ask for help. I wish I could find organizations like this one. I wish I had people like Nicole or like myself that really knew and understand and were open. Ask for help. You can get it. You deserve it. No one's looking down on you for not being able to do it all. You know, like Nicole said earlier, there is no manual. There is no instruction guide to being a mother, especially being a young and 9 times out of 10 single parent. Ask for help. Ask for help.
Yeah, awesome. All right, girls, mommies, you heard it from Miss Kierstin. Thank you for joining us on your Friday, Memorial Day weekend, and just sharing, you know, a little bit about who you are, what you're doing, and how you're a mom who has made it, and you did make it. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. I look forward to doing a lot with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks again. Have a good evening.
You too.